evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Baldwin City Council meeting for December 9th, 2024 to order, please. If you will stand and join me for the invocation and pledge. Father God, thank you for another opportunity to get together to do good work on behalf of our citizens. Please bless everybody who's in our town, our first responders, our friends, our family. Watch over us tonight as we make decisions on behalf of those who live near us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance.
Where's our flag?
Oh.
It's at the, let me go get it, it's in the building from the work session.
Do we have a small one?
We all
I have a wooden
Really?
You have a wooden one? Go get that.
Go get that.
Chief,
Chief, it's okay. It's okay. He's still left.
He's off.
Poor thing, in the rain.
Didn't notice.
Yep. That's right, because our work session, we don't.
What do you
All
want to do?
right.
You wanna just stand and just.
Someone can hold it up for us.
Let me just sit
Put it on
up
top of the
Yes.
printer, yes, okay.
Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right. I'm definitely going back on Facebook and watching it.
Eric had me crying. I want to stay with Eric.
The first item on our agenda this evening is a consent agenda. It's approval of minutes, council meeting for November 12th, 2024, work session for 12/3/2024. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes?
Yes.
Any comments, questions, concerns? No. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? So. I have a motion from Councilman Venter, who is on the phone with us. We have a full council. Councilman Venter is on the phone. Can I have a second? I have a second from Councilman Keith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comments. Ms. Venter, you are on there.
I'm gonna wait, I need more information.
Very good, thank you.
So, thank you, I appreciate it.
If there are any Baldwin residents who have business with the council, please come forward, address council, state your name and your address, please.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Montserrat Mora. I currently live in 120 City Park, Baldwin. I recently purchased 392 King Street, which has a condemned mobile home currently on it. I would like to ask the council if they are interested in giving me a special use permit to allow me to put another mobile home on the property, which does not comply with the current zone ordinance. And the reason is because we're living right now 5 people in one room where we're sleeping.
Well.
Thank you. Thank God everything.
Great.
It's okay.
No,
Deep breath.
it's okay. Thank you for coming forward. Unfortunately, we can't make that decision tonight about a special use permit. I mean, we can think about it, we can't make that decision.
Okay.
For Ms. Moore.
Are you wanting to put, so what's on there now, is it a single wide?
Yeah, it's a single one.
Are you gonna put, what are you?
We want to put another. We want to put another mobile home in the
Same
property.
size, or what do you?
Yeah, it's the same size. Yeah, a little bit.
One a little bit bigger?
A little bit bigger.
It's quite small, I think I'm familiar with the property.
Yes, because we're a family of 6.
Yeah,
My husband, me, and we have 4 children.
wonderful.
My 3, well, right now my 2 daughters are sleeping on the floor
Yeah.
because we live with my father-in-law, and we're all, crowded.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah.
that's why, yes, I came to ask. Sure.
How large is the lot?
It's almost,
0.68.
So it's a little,
We got two shops and one mobile home already there, but the mobile home was on the fire, so we not can fix it, we not can do nothing with it.
Right.
So that's why I was gonna deal with that one. And bring I don't wanna send you one, but more better.
yeah, used but in good condition.
Yeah, better
That's-
condition.
Sure, okay.
So,
I don't wanna build a house because my credit, I'm not got a very good credit,
Yeah.
so I already asked Vivian's Homes.
Oh, yeah.
This a little expensive, and she told me, now you have to come back next year with a co-sign.
Okay, okay.
so we do have a special use permit process to go through. I mean, it's already the end of December. If you make that application, it would be, by the end of January, by the time you could make that decision.
okay.
I understand the predicament you're in, but we're not prepared to make that decision tonight.
What was the, it's a great time to have some discussion though. So
Yes,
there-
yes.
So we're, yeah, so, and we definitely should do that. What, did you say 392?
Yes. King Street.
It's not coming up in,
Is that quarter property?
For some reason on Q Public, it doesn't have an address assigned, but it's that very corner lot around the curve.
okay, let me just pull it up really quick so we can have a look at it.
Okay.
The corner lot of Shore and King, is that what it's, something like that?
The opposite way, going towards the airport. If you look at the
Let me bring it to
Holiness
you.
Church, it's right next to that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we just need to.
So you would go and fill out the paperwork with the city and then it would come up, it would,
We have to
you know,
accept it.
get on our
We have to
agenda.
accept our
Yes.
And we go through a process
We
of
can't make a
meetings
decision.
and then, you know, get approved or denied.
Just have to raise the
Yes.
application.
Yes.
Completed before.
And Eric can help you with that.
Yes, sir.
With that paperwork.
Okay, cool, you're off.
Yes.
Oh, just recently, okay. Oh, great, so you just recently purchased that,
Yes,
right?
yes, we
Yeah,
did.
I'm really looking forward to that property. Yeah, it's a great lot, yes.
Yes.
And it's really a great lot too.
And, yes, I was in Mexico because of my, residency. So I spent there 13 years, and I just came back in August of this year, and that's why we're all like, crowded, and,
Yeah.
and we need, a space, so. And I mean, we're good people, we don't have problems with police, we don't do drugs, I mean,
That's good.
yeah, we're good people, like, we don't get into trouble.
Sure, yeah, oh yeah, we believe you, yeah,
But
absolutely.
we still have to follow the process.
Sure, of course.
So, can you work with Ms. Aaron, getting the paperwork together, and then we can consider it in January?
So one of the important things, with the special use permit, I think I've done 4 of these so far in my almost 8 years on the council. And going through that process, it does take time, but, obviously. But one of the things that we ask, is that, are you going to be the owner occupant? So it's not gonna be rented out? because
No.
That's typically the
No,
problem.
it's gonna be for our family, for ourselves.
Yes,
Yes.
that's good, yeah. And it's, I feel, and I've always made, I'm a real estate agent, actually, so is Mr. Keith. And so we understand, and I'm saying this for the benefit of for the rest of the council as well, is that, especially these days in real estate, a manufactured home, so we don't wanna call it a mobile home, that they actually haven't been mobile homes since the 1970s. 1978, they are manufactured homes. And they are, a really good bang for the buck, number one. They're cost effective, proper housing. And so, and Vivian's is, as far as I understand, according to our, building inspectors, do a really good job. So, but you won't be able to get one from Vivian's, it'll be another one that you're gonna be pulling from somewhere else, is that right?
Yes,
We found one in Marketplace and Facebook, so
Okay,
it's a good deal because sometimes the owner of the land,
yes,
they don't want it no more, so they sell it quickly.
yes, okay, gotcha.
Just make sure before you purchase, you get the approval. 'Cause
Yeah, that's
I've
why
seen
we
that
come-
happen before, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we
People
come
will
here.
buy one and then they
It
The
actually,
approval doesn't go through and then you're stuck with, yeah.
it actually happened to myself. We, hadn't, that's why it's been, feels like 100 years ago, but we actually purchased the mobile home, and then the city, who told us later on, hey, we don't, they didn't tell us at that time that there was a process to apply for a special use permit. So we lost $10,000. So as a, not only as a realtor, I'm bound by my ethics to look out for everyone, but also as a public servant, I wanna make sure you guys don't get totally screwed. We don't want you to be in a worse position than you're starting out in. And by the way, congratulations on coming back, and congratulations for working hard to make a
Thank you.
place, and this is the land of milk and honey. And you know, we want you to have every opportunity. I'm getting choked up. We want you to have, both, she and I are both married to immigrants. We also have homes that are, ooh, look at the goosebumps, multi-generational, meaning that we have our parents with us and we are taking care of them. I also have my grandkids and my kids, so I totally get it. And it gets crowded, and so, you know, I can think that you can see us here bouncing our heads that we are here to make sure that, you know, that we look out for you guys, okay? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
So,
you
yes,
for the
don't you get upset.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Alright. Sorry, guys, I know that was long-winded, so. Praise the Lord. It is.
For people who are listening, you know, to purchase a mobile home, so, thank you. Are there any other residential business with council tonight? Okay, hearing none. No public hearings, we do have a report though, Miss Susan Newsom, our hero this
Yes,
evening.
yes, court clerk extraordinaire.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Please excuse my voice or lack thereof. It's December, 'tis the season. It seems like it happens to me every December. But in court, each time I present this, I pretty much say the same thing because it doesn't change a lot in court. There's not a lot, but I mean, it's what we do.
Yeah.
And so the nature of the job is it stays pretty much the same for the job. I mean, things come and go. But so I don't have a lot to report on. We're still working to find answers to the same questions that we had before. We're working to create a more effective court security system
Yes.
and procedure, especially the sign-up procedure, so that I'll know who's signing up when. So we're working on that. And I'm still working to improve court security, improve court procedures. I'm talking with other court clerks to see how they run things, to see if there's something that we could do that would be more efficient. That's the good thing about networking with court clerks and going to your classes and stuff, because you get to find out a lot about what other people are doing and what works and what doesn't work. And we are still working to get a better setup for in-person payments for both the citizens and the court side of that. We do need a better system if we can get that. And of course, we still need more space for court. I'm now stacking things on top of my file cabinets, and I have bought a step stool so that I can reach said. And so that's the regular things that we have had before. The one thing that we are doing a little different right now, we have decided, since we're having a hard time getting classes for the interpreter, we've not found the classes yet. All of them seem to be still taken. They do not have any new openings that we can find. So therefore, we are going to go with trying to find already licensed interpreters. And I do have somebody set up for December's court. He's going to talk to me tomorrow about whether he'll be able to do all of our courts going forward. If not, he's going to help me try to find somebody else that can, that's already licensed, to where we don't have to send somebody. Maybe in the future, we might still want to send somebody. That would be like our own personal. But for right now, we're just going to go with doing somebody already licensed, so we don't have to worry about that.
Is there a difference in pay for the unlicensed versus
Yeah,
the licensed?
but I did find it a lot cheaper, because the cheapest I could find before was probably $300 to $400 per court. This is the guy that does it for Habersham County, for the state court there, and he's going to do it for us for $200 a court. So that's not near as bad as, you know, the $400 per court. And
Where were we paying before?
It was $80 a quart. Yeah.
So, yeah.
What does this do to your budget?
Do what?
What does this do to your budget?
We're just gonna pull it from whatever. I usually do have leftover because I don't spend a lot of money, so we always budget for for disasters to happen or things to be more expensive. So usually I have enough leftover. I think I'll be able to. And Jessica's not working her full time either, so we'll have some to pull from there. I think we'll be okay.
It is definitely something to think about going forward with because I think right after the start of the new year, we start the budget process all over again. Am I correct, Emily? Yeah.
Yeah, and when we do it this time, we will have to budget in for it because it looks like it's gonna have to happen.
Yes.
You know, the state doesn't mind whether we can pay for it or not, we just have to do it.
Aren't these unfunded mandates? Yeah,
Right.
they cute.
They really
Yeah,
are.
We had, a great person doing that, at a very reasonable rate, and unfortunately, I understand that they are trying to look out for people who speak other languages and making sure that, our especially small towns like us are accommodating, so
Yeah,
I understand.
and that's true, I understand it too, it's just, give us another option, give us, some places to get some training, or
Yeah.
already have people trained to be able to take this over before you tell us we have to do it.
Yeah.
Is one interpreter sufficient?
It really is not, I will need a second one at times. Situations such as if we have a public defender, if somebody comes in and gets a public defender. The interpreter that is interpreting for the court that day cannot interpret for the public defender, and we are responsible for giving them an interpreter as well. So if that person does speak another language, when we give them a public defender, we also have to provide a separate interpreter. So, and that interpreter also needs to be licensed.
And so the primary need is Spanish language interpreters.
Yes.
Do we have need for another language?
So far, we've only had one or two, and when I reached out and could not find that, that's particular, Chinese was one of them, and I could not find somebody. A lot of people use Language Line, but we can't do that here because we don't have a phone line phone in here. Plus, our cell phones does not work well enough in here. We drop signal and all that. And so we were not able to find somebody, so we moved them to state court, and they were fine with that. We explained to them that it would have to, in order to accommodate them and for them to be able to have what they needed, and they were fine with that, so.
Gotcha, okay. So this, I didn't realize that was a thing. What did you call it? Court line, what?
Language line.
And so if we had a landline telephone, that would be a possibility?
It would like in the Chinese, one person.
Yeah, like the once in a blue moon, right?
Right, we could get by with doing that,
Yeah.
but now think about the scenario of if we're trying to do that with our Spanish. We
Right.
have everybody that comes, we have a large majority of those are Spanish.
Yes.
So how do you do that? The person comes up and pleads to the judge. Okay, we got him on the phone. The judge, he takes the plea.
Yeah.
All right, but now they have to sit back down while everybody else is pleading.
Right.
And then they have to go back and talk to the solicitor. So where are they going to take my phone? Are they going to take their phone? Are they going to, are we going to assign 12 phones so that everybody can walk around with a cell phone while they're talking on the language line, which also costs quite a bit. So
the reason I asked that is because it's the once in the blue moons that I'm finding is a real problem. Because when the blue moon comes around, I've recent experience myself, when the blue moon comes around, then you're caught with, if we had someone who has been cited, at the city, and that person wanted to stay in our court and did not want to go to be bound over to the state court, then, I don't want them to feel disenfranchised. So that's why I asked. And,
right, in that case,
as far as I understand, there's still copper wires in here, right? Like we can still have a landline.
we might
Having
need to
worked
do
for the
that.
phone company, it always blows my mind. It's like we pick up the phone.
Right. But yeah, we could do that for the one case. That wouldn't be a big deal.
Well, I was thinking for the additional one that we need two interpreters, and if we don't have that, would that
We might
fill
do
that
that,
gap?
yeah, because we could assign them a room to go to that would have a phone in it or something, or we could give them a cell phone to do that
Right.
in another room.
Or just a cordless phone.
just the, I don't know.
I remember this.
Yeah,
Right.
I know, right? Yeah. Okay.
How about the state figure this out for us? They're the ones that did.
Well, yeah, but the state doesn't have to do anything for us, and I think we know the answer to that.
I tried that. I
Yeah.
asked him, I said, give me an answer. I
Right.
don't know what to do. You're telling me I have to have this, but I'm telling you, where are we gonna find them? And he said, I'm sorry, but that's your problem. You live in a rural area.
Right.
And his answer was, maybe you don't need a court.
Who said that?
The guy that wrote this, he was the one teaching our class. The guy that wrote this bill.
Well, okay, we can talk about that later.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Susan, you're amazing. Keep going, I'm sorry.
But yeah, but that's really all I have. That's the only thing that we're, really working on right now that's different. Everything else is just something I've been working on the whole time, just trying to make it better.
So it's been about a year since we changed the configuration in here just a little bit with the chairs from the pews and the area over here. Has that worked okay?
It's worked really well. Our solicitor now is able to sit here instead of trying to find a little cubby hole somewhere to sit. And so she sits here and takes the notes, and our interpreter usually can sit over there and take notes. So that's worked out really well, and the people have a lot more room to sit.
And we ask this all the time, are we ready to go to 3 courts a month? Or
No, not right now. Right now, we're a little slower, and so I think, well, from what I can see from jail packets and stuff, what's happening is our officers still writing plenty of tickets, but they're getting the big stuff off the streets, which doesn't come to our court. It goes to state or superior court.
Gotcha.
And so we're a little slower because of that, but the city's better off because of that too, because they're getting the bad stuff.
Okay.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, it is good to hear, yes. And good job to our officers.
Absolutely. Anything else for Ms. Susan? No? Okay, moving on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your help tonight, Susan. Appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda under old business, consideration approval of ARPA funds obligation projects agreement.
Can you, real quick, Mayor, I just noticed that our residents were getting ready to head out, and I kind of motioned to ask them to stick around, but if you guys don't have the time, I was gonna talk to you after the meeting. If you don't have the time, don't feel like you have to stay here, we can talk later, but.
Do you have their contact information?
I provided them my contact information
Okay.
and asked that she reach out to me on Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, so if you don't have time to stick around, that's fine, we'll talk later.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Evelyn?
Right.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
It's the last meeting of the year.
Yes.
All right, so we did, we did talk about all of these agreements and quotes at Tuesday night's meeting. There are no changes to what was presented on Tuesday night, so the plan is still to have the erosion control work done at the raw water intake, along with that roof repair that we talked about, the interior painting at the water plant. Then we have the two-way radio system that we have talked about for probably 5 years now.
100 years.
So to get that for Scott and his guys will be great. The company that, I think I might have mentioned this, but the company that we had quote us is doing the radio system for the county. So they're like that infrastructure guy. And then we have the CIP updates that we've talked about in the last couple of retreats, along with zone meter planning. We did remove the pole barn from the ARPA list, but there are still funds to get that completed. So Scott will still have his pole barn.
All right.
Then we have the air relief valves on the force main on 365, along with the pressure reducing valve maintenance. Then we have the breathing air system for the fire department. We heard about that about a month ago, and it actually stopped working last
Oh my
week.
goodness, are you
The
kidding
breathing
me?
air system.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with it.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to talk about it real quick?
Well,
Not really. We're buying time. So
Yeah, I
can.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, our breathing air system is, it's 3 parts. One part's compressor, which makes the grady air that we breathe. from the outside air. It brings it into the compressor, it goes through a bunch of filtration systems, and it comes back out into another machine that holds the air pack bottle in a confined explosion-proof case. And as it fills, and someone was having that bottle and it would blow inside that case. So we call that a fill station. So we got a compressor that makes the air, a fill station that we put our bottles in, and then we have a cascade system, which consists of 3 6,500 PSI big bottles, and they're all linked together. And basically what that does is helps the compressor out, so the compressor ain't running all the time. We fill off those bottles first through that fill station, and then when those bottles get low, the compressor fills them. But that whole system, I don't know exact year, but it's either 24 or 26 years old. So
That's as old as
the last time we get it serviced every year, and they have to put new filters in it every year, and it's getting to the point where the filter is getting hard to get a hold of. And then again, it's breaking down all the time. So now the fill station is broke, and I just don't want to invest money into it if we can go ahead and swap that out to a newer model.
Yeah.
So once we approve these contracts and we're able to purchase, how long would it take to get this to you?
I don't know that answer. I'd hate to say, but I wouldn't expect no more than 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it won't be long.
So we've been traumatized by
Yeah,
some
6
of
months.
the supply chain issues. We're like, 6 months? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Okay, cool. Thanks, Chief.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Another 20 years.
Yeah, well, they don't build things like they used to down there. You know that. Yeah, but.
All right, and then we also have email conversion, which we did get the updated quote for that from ACNS. You saw it last week, but this is really, it's their project time in order to turn everything over, but we're actually moving all of our account and data from Gmail over to Outlook. So it does take a bit, but this also covers the first month of the service as well. So it's the turnover time and then also the first month's payment.
I have a question about that really quick, but I
Sure.
don't think I asked it. Does this mean that we have to use the actual Outlook application?
Yes. Or the app. I mean, you don't need it. It can be the app on the computer.
Microsoft, but anyway.
I know.
Uh,
The reality is Gmail used to be free for us.
I know.
And that was great until they made us start paying for it.
Yep.
So retrieving emails, storing data in the email universe, sphere, whatever, is a lot more convoluted in Gmail than it is in Outlook.
Yeah.
When it comes to open records requests, and we're having to siphon through emails to find what is being requested. There's actually search parameters in Outlook that don't exist in Gmail. So right now, if somebody does an open records request on an email inbox or 17 email inboxes, we have to turn all of those into PST files and then dump it into Outlook to actually read the information, which we don't even have Outlook, right? But we need their app in order to convert that information to even pull it. So we have every former employee's email inbox that is stored for whatever length of time is stored, and if we need to draw from it, we have to download that file. It takes me about 25 minutes to download something into Outlook, and then it takes me an additional 2 to 3 hours to look through what it is, because you can't actually search for it. So you just got to like go through, figure out the time frame, and yes. But with Outlook, you can just type it in.
Why is Gmail charging us? When did they start doing that? Why?
They started a year ago, or a little over a year ago. I think because a lot of small businesses use the free model, and I think there's a lot of wasted email space because so many email users, commercial or individual, that are just leaving old emails instead of deleting them. And so that's taking up all of their storage space, and they've run out. So now we're paying for storage space. For my email account and Joe Roy's email account, we pay an additional fee to just store our emails because of the number, the volume that we have.
I pay $10 a month to Google because I have so much in my pictures and in my emails and if I don't pay that $10 a month, Gmail starts letting me know, hey, you're not gonna be getting your emails.
Yeah.
And actually, my brother, who is a software developer for his company, because Gmail was gonna like, hey, you owe us $100,000 to their company. He actually had to get all of those within like, I think like 3 days, which is all like literally impossible. And he wrote a program that got all those emails out and put them into Outlook. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, not many
Before they
people
lost
love
them.
that we're converting.
Yeah.
But we get, it's the same price, and so we get more
Yeah.
ease of use in
It
the long
makes your
run.
job easier. Yeah. It's just me. Awesome. Thank you.
Then we also have codification. This one is a bit of a sticking point, and the council can choose to remove it, and we can have a special call meeting to fund this somewhere else. We had this quoted 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just under $15,000 for them to do it. Well, being in touch with MuniCode over the last couple of weeks, they no longer pre-quote without looking at your ordinances. So I couldn't get a new quote from them until we dumped all of our ordinances into their uploading system. And we are going to do it.
Yeah.
We just haven't done it yet because Aaron has had to go through and find all of the right ordinances, find all of their amendments, attach the documents, make sure that they're all labeled appropriately so that we can dump that in, which we should be able to do this week. I can't imagine it being any less than 15,000, but I will also add that with MuniCode, you can split the cost of their service over 2 budget cycles. So we can allocate this 15,000. We'll have the quote by the end of the year. And I'm happy to provide that as soon as we have it, so the council's aware of it. And then if there is anything over and above this amount, we can put that into the next budget cycle, which is in line with what MuniCode does anyway. So I'd hate to lose the money, but we don't have the quote. This is last year or 3 years ago number. So I know.
And we got a lot of it. I'm so excited about getting that done because it's been something that's just been back here every retreat. It's like, oh, we got this coming. We're getting to the.
Well, now we're at the point with the number of residents that we have.
That we're required to.
We've been there.
So the fact that we're gonna have the funds to do this is really exciting. Yeah.
And then the last item on the ARPA funding list is that fire department PD dark fiber. Just a portion of it. It does cost a little over $3,000. The rest of that will be covered by budgeted funds. We just figured it had to be spent anyway, and there was just that little bit. We couldn't really put this $1,200 on some other project. There wasn't anything that cost $1,200, but that does exist and it does help offset the budget.
And I guess we should also just make sure that the people listening understand, because you know how people are like, oh, it's money they just have to spend. If we don't spend it, we have to give it back to the federal government, and they get enough from us on fees.
And we are, I know that we're three and a half years into ARPA, but we're what the federal government calls a non-entitlement city or non-entitlement unit. So because of our population, the amount of money that we received from them, it really is, it's all accounted for in the federal program under revenue replacement. Which is why we can do all of these projects, however, like, okay, we're gonna do this one. It didn't have to be a water and sewer project. It didn't have to be a capital investment into something. These funds were used by many small cities to replace their general fund because they were shut down for 3.5 weeks. And so they took the money that they lost by being closed and applied it to their general fund, which we could do. We just didn't need to do that. We had other projects over the last couple of years.
And it's great to get this many projects.
Yes.
Yes. All of these that have been giving us heartburn over the years.
Yeah. It's nice to see it all in one spot. It's all funded. We already have the money.
Yes.
Just start doing it.
So excited to get these.
Yeah. Is there any questions about the list?
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the ARPA funds obligations project list and to authorize the CAO to execute all agreements as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Venter, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second from Councilman Key, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, under new business, our first item, consideration approval of fire department and water treatment plant fiber agreements.
Yes. So there are two different agreements here, and they look very different. The first one on page 2 is the agreement for dark fiber. Very short, easy, to the point. Just kidding. That one is the long one. But this is because it is dark fiber. It's dedicated only to the city of Baldwin. So there was a couple of extra pages in there than your standard connection agreement with Trailwave. But this is the dedicated line from the fire department to the police department. It will cost us $75 a month. If you recall, a few months ago, we brought this before council as another topic of conversation that we were still working out the details, because the way that Trailwave designs their agreements is in 5-year terms when they're laying down infrastructure. And they build in the cost of the infrastructure over the 5 years, and then you get that fixed rate plus minus CPI year over year. Well, because of that, we're a government and we cannot sign an agreement for longer than a year. And there has to be an exit at no cost to the city in an agreement that is longer than a year. And they could not provide that to us. So we went back to them and said, hey, if we pay for the infrastructure up front, can we then have a 1-year agreement for that rate for our monthly service fee? That is what is being presented now. So you have the dark fiber agreement. It's a 1-year agreement. The infrastructure cost is being paid for up front, which is why we are allocating ARPA funds to it, and then budgeted funds for the difference. It is just over $3,000 to complete that. So about $1,500 will come from $1,750 will come from the city coffers for the dark fiber project. The second one is fiber for the water treatment plant. We have been actively working on this for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a long time. The SCADA system, the upgrade that we have, it really needs fiber, and so we've been working with them to figure out where it was going to go and how it's going to be installed. Well, it all came to a head when Point Broadband, the current provider of our internet service and some of our facilities, have decided that they are no longer going to have wireless internet for us. So we, by the end of the year, so we were faced with that at December, I think it was December 1st, they told us. And so ACNS has been working with Trailwave and Windstream to convert all of our accounts over to Trailwave and or Windstream. So City Hall can't be on Trailwave because they can't get under the railroad, which is frustrating. So we have to go with Windstream, their kinetic fiber for City Hall. But it was perfect timing for water treatment because we needed that fiber anyway. It just is expedited because their service is being canceled at the end of the month. So, so those are the two agreements. Again, we are paying infrastructure costs up front because of the way that they design their agreements. So we're paying $3,300 up front for the infrastructure costs, and then the monthly fee is, I believe it's $98.95 is the one that we were going with. Any questions?
Okay, so you want to take these together as a motion because
You can. They're effectively the same agreement. They're coming from the same funding from budgeted funds.
and everything's been through legal.
Yes, they've approved it.
You guys have any concerns about it?
I have a question.
Sure.
You mentioned Kinetic and City Hall.
Mhm.
There's nothing here regarding that, is that a whole separate issue?
It is, yes. Yes, it's fed from a different tower. So right now, we're still like a residential user for City Hall. And we're working with Windstream to determine if they can get fiber to us. And we're actively requesting from Point Broadband not to cancel service until we can do that. So they haven't made a determination for City Hall yet.
Because this agreement has nothing to do with that.
No, this is just the water treatment plant
Yeah. Okay.
and the dark fiber for PD and fire.
So do we don't have time to review these as far as like,
She has something.
We have until the end of the month, so we can call a special meeting, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. It's a standard agreement that anybody would have entered into. The only difference in these two agreements is that we're paying infrastructure costs upfront, which Trowave had to go to their board to get that approved.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking about this for how many
Yeah.
months?
It's been a while.
Yeah, legal
Yeah.
was fighting
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make
working
sure
with them,
I'm-
not fighting.
I'm good.
Not
Just wanted to
fighting,
make
but-
sure.
Yeah,
But if they're gonna work
They were
with
going back and forth
municipalities,
for a
they should
while.
understand that.
yeah,
Yeah. Actually, out.
yeah.
I'm
That was
good
the
with that.
that
Just
was the
wanna make
position
sure.
that Mr. Turpin made. He was like, everyone else does this. And we're
Yeah.
like, the rules are the rules.
Right.
So,
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm comfortable with it, I just wanna make sure that everybody else.
Aaron, Martin, are you comfortable? Yes.
They're okay with it, then, yeah.
That's what I said. Okay.
Because they would obviously be able to fix something right, but easier than probably any of
And
us.
they
could.
looked and looked and looked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, they hashed it out.
Yeah.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the Trail Wave Fiber Internet Agreement for the Fire Department and the Water Treatment Plant as presented, and to authorize the CAO to execute the agreements?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Venter, do I have a second? I have a second from Councilwoman Lehman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Did I have a vote from you, Councilman Keith?
Yes.
There was not, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Next item under new business is consideration approval of first reading of Aguilar zoning change ordinance number 2024-12156Z. That's what that's
All right, so this one is on page 22 of your packet. Erin created, she zoomed in on the zoning map so that you could see exactly where this property is.
Yeah.
This is 112 Shore Street. At some point in our city's history, we have zoned this property neighborhood commercial.
That's a
And-
weird place for a neighborhood commercial.
Yes, I am inclined to agree with you. And so this property has been zoned this way on the every iteration of the zoning map that we have.
Yeah.
We're not sure how. There is no ordinance that delineates that from its original zoning classification from '87. So we don't know how it changed, but it was indeed changed. And while it's essentially a non-issue for living purposes for this family, they want to update a porch. They can't. Because
Yeah.
technically, the structure is a non-conforming structure in that zoning district.
Right.
And so, because we have no record of it, there was no record with deeds and records that this was changed at any point. We've looked everywhere for it. We offered to have council consider zoning it back to, I believe it's R2, to neighborhood, not
Yeah.
neighborhood, to residential, single family. That is in like it's in kind with everything around it, all that brown color on both sides of the road.
Is this the brick house, like, just across the street from Shore Street, on Shore Street, from the Dollar General, the brick house?
No,
No, it's the.
this is going towards Banks County,
Yeah.
down Shore Street. So come over Willingham,
Uh-huh.
past the church. You're going past the
I
church.
forget that Shore
Yeah.
Street goes that way.
I know.
So it's actually in Banks County. Okay.
It's
It's
just
right on the
before.
line.
Yeah.
right on that
Yeah,
line.
if you're looking at this map, you can see the county line is right there.
Yeah, this, believe it or not, this,
It's a fun angle.
so it's right inside Habersham.
What is this right here?
441.
That's the county, oh, right, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get a.
It's okay, get your bearings.
It's, yeah, and it's also, look, it's like the only one, it's almost spot zone itself.
Right.
Like it's,
Well, that is essentially what it is.
Right,
It
it's
and
spot
its neighbor,
zoned.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has been spot zoned, and so,
it's done.
we would like, this was a request of city staff, not the homeowner,
Yeah.
for this to be
Okay.
zoned appropriately so that he can
Do what he needs to do.
build his
Right.
porch.
So we just had a coloring problem, that's all.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I mean,
And so we would like to
use
color it the
crayons.
right color now.
We did not use.
So,
Oh, is there a plat?
Yes.
Oh, the
the
1896
lot
plat.
next to it on one
Mhm.
side is zone commercial, and the lot on the other side is zone same, which is, neighborhood commercial.
Mhm.
And it's neighborhood commercial. So if we change the zoning on this lot, it will be residential with neighborhood residential.
The brown is all R2.
Yeah.
So right next to it, this'll be brown.
See, actually, this one right there, this little triangle, that's commercial.
That one's highway business,
Highway business district.
and that is Get Real Ministries.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then, and the one on the other side of it,
This one, this little piece, but
No.
now this green.
no, this little piece that's the same color.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also, so my
Yeah.
question is, because there are not all residential properties around it, if we change the zoning, and part of it is right on Highway 441,
Mhm.
and let's, in a couple of years, 10 years, whatever, someone comes in and wants to buy this and put a grocery store, a hotel, whatever, some kind of business, is it easy to change the zoning back at that point?
It's a city council decision. I would add though that this property is on Shore Street, not 441. So even though it's adjacent to
Yeah.
441, it's not on it.
Okay.
However, Get Real Ministries is on 441.
Right.
And so if you're following the road, the last property before you get to Get Real Ministries is also highway business, which is why it was recommended that they become highway business. That went through a zoning change. When it was the,
It was a veterinarian.
yeah, it was a vet before it became Get Real Ministries. And so it's following 441, and that's why that one looks like it may be spot zone, but it's not. The property, the red property that's next to it on Shore Street, that one is also zoned incorrectly. There's, I think it's a home or shed, there's a building on it. But this is a residential community, and it has been that way forever. Which is why typically in a scenario like this, we would go back, look through our old zoning records to find out why somebody changed the zoning to become what it was. In this case, we have nothing. There's always been a home on this property. It's never been anything but residential. So for it to have a neighborhood commercial zone classification doesn't make sense for that property. It was never intended to be commercial. It was never designated that way.
Right.
By the home or the property owner. It just happened. We don't have an answer for it. Now, if somebody 15 years ago had a zoning ordinance that said they went to the council and made this neighborhood commercial, then albeit for me to say that it shouldn't be neighborhood commercial because the council decided that it should be. But we have no record of it. And he wants to build a sport.
Should the one next to it be changed too?
Yes, that
Yeah.
we would recommend it, but we are not, it's not inconveniencing that property owner. So until it becomes an inconvenience, we won't recommend doing anything with it. It's not damaging anyone's property, it's not hurting a property value. There's a home on it, I believe.
Yes, yeah, there is.
So until and when they decide that they want to remodel their home or build a porch, we'll make them aware that it's zoned neighborhood commercial, and we can offer this same process that we've offered to Oculars as well. But
So is that how this came about? He came for a permit to do some work and then we discovered it was incorrectly zoned.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, but we haven't moved on it. We didn't want to move on this until they came to us and said, okay, we do want to do this. Because again, paperwork.
Right.
And that's just one more thing for us to keep track of
It's also
and
a
hope that it's
cost
happening.
to the
Yeah.
resident because of
Yeah.
that advertising, the rezoning
Right.
cost, right?
So this one, we're taking care of this one. Yeah, the
Oh,
city's,
that's good.
yeah,
Oh, good.
they're not being charged it.
Nice.
And neither would anyone else who was in the same predicament.
Right.
We can't justify why this happened.
Right.
So,
Right, because we had no record.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just weird, and even, you know, it's just an awkward place for any business to exist anyway,
Yeah.
it's like, why, yeah. I'm familiar with that house, well, good, I'm glad we're getting cleared up.
But tonight is only the first reading, and if someone does have some information to come forward, let them come forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the second reading, for sure. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the first reading of the Aguilar zoning change ordinance number 2024-12156Z as presented? So moved. I have a motion from Councilwoman Venture, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilwoman Davis, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. All right, next item on our agenda tonight is consideration approval of Habersham County Fire Service Consolidation Feasibility Study Resolution number 2024-12157R. Ms.
The city of Baldwin, along with the other cities in Habersham County, were presented with, we're invited to a conversation about the potential to consolidate fire service with Habersham County Fire Service. That took place a couple of weeks ago. And one of the requests from Habersham County was for the cities who would like to become a part of the feasibility study to adopt a resolution just acknowledging that that specific board for that city is interested in the viability of a feasibility study. This resolution is not designed in any way to obligate the city to consolidate fire service or to pay towards the feasibility study. This resolution indicates that the county is covering the cost of that, and we will have a representative from the city of Baldwin that will supply information to the consultant that they hire for the feasibility study to determine if this is a good idea for the cities to consider or if it is null. So the resolution before you tonight says just that they are proposing a study to evaluate the feasibility of consolidating fire services, that we also recognize the importance of this study, that it is another mechanism for the city and the cities and the county to ensure that what they are charging for fire services is adequate and substantial service for the resident, and that we will work with the county in providing the information that is necessary to them.
Was there a timeline offered from the consultant on how long the feasibility study would take to?
He indicated that it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year,
Yeah, I remember,
but I don't know that there was a hard and fast timeline.
it would take a year or more or something like
Yeah.
that.
Could take up to a year.
There's no harm in any of this.
No.
It's just information gathering.
It's purely information, and one of the things that was discussed in the meeting was ISO ratings.
Right.
And we all understand that a good ISO rating can bring down your insurance costs. If we can glean some information from the study paid for by the county, that would offer us a path to improve our already really good ISO rating, you know, I would take that information. That would be helpful.
Yeah, I think the feasibility study itself is inherently good, because there's nothing wrong with, the more data, the better, right? Definitely. I know that there was some, my issue with it, because I know I've spoken with a few council members about this, and then I also have the live video that I did of that meeting. The way that it was presented to the cities, I felt was a bit of a stunt, It's fine. I'm good with doing the study. I do not, however, like that the cities, not just Baldwin, all of them were pinched into forcing our hand to participate in the meeting that was advertised. It was not common practice. In fact, in 7 years of public service, I've never seen a press release go to the press telling them, we're having this meeting, but you're not invited. So, so this was also indicative of a stunt. In this meeting, the ISO rating was fear-mongered to us in explaining to us that, oh, there's a new kid on the block, it's the ISO boogeyman, and he's going to be making us all go by the book, which we should have been going anyway. However, we were told by Commissioner Palmer that we explained, hey, we have an ISO rating of 3. Yeah, but it's a farce because the guy that did your ISO inspection is not this new guy, and this new guy the previous guy was not going by the book, and now this guy. As it turns out, that is not true. The ISO inspector, Boogeyman, is the one that just did our inspection that we had last year. I think, Chief, were we like 4 points away from being a 2? I think that was just the fact that we didn't have 4, 2 in, 2 out, 4 firefighters was the only thing that held us back from being a 2. And a 2, if I'm, whoop, gotta run, right? Is, anyway, it's gotta, so that, no, don't apologize.
I can't shut that thing.
Well, and you shouldn't be able to. So, so my thing is about the way that the representatives from the county, as well as a few others that were invited to this meeting that don't work for the county, push this in, oh my gosh, our hair's on fire, we're not going to, our ISO rating's gonna get busted down. It was also told to us that, well, these people aren't gonna be able to get homeowners insurance. Well, that's a bunch of bullhop. There are plenty of places that don't have a good, the fire districts in North Carolina, that is not going to prevent you from getting homeowners insurance if you are busted, if your municipality or your county has been reduced to a 10 or whatever. That was also fear-mongered to us. I don't appreciate the way that the county went about this. I'm happy to participate in the study as an individual council member. Again, data is good. But I don't appreciate that the way that they forced the city's hands to go into this conversation, lest we look like the petulant bad kid, right? And then fear-mongering, not only to the cities, but also to the residents. So, I've said my piece now. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. You're welcome.
Any other comments, questions?
Sorry, Councilman Venture, what did you say? I'm gonna avoid that one, okay. Thank you.
So ultimately, it costs us nothing,
Mhm.
and we'll get data.
Yes,
A little bit of time for myself, but
I'm sorry.
no, I think this is a valuable study.
It is.
And we will be coming up to SBS conversations
Yes.
in the next year or so.
Yeah,
so,
we're coming.
Right.
So the data. Okay, so this only obligates us, or not even obligates it, we participate in the feasibility study with discussion to follow about consolidation.
Yep.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to approve the Habersham County Fire Service Consolidation Feasibility Study Resolution number 2024-12157R as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Venture. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilwoman Davis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Deep Martin to the motion.
I think, has everybody signed our Alto meets tomorrow?
Yeah. I don't know about the others.
And the last item on our agenda tonight is consideration approval of the emergency expense for high service pump. Is this Ms. Woodmaster or Mr. Holiday?
Both.
Okay.
All I would like to say is that this expense is covered from our regular operating budget, but I'll let Mr. Holiday explain what happens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hope all of you are well. So this emergency purchase is for one of the high service pumps at the water treatment facility. You currently have two high service pumps. They're 125 horsepower pumps, motors that supply the pump water to the distribution system. One, so he can fight fires that y'all were just talking about, but two, to also provide potable drinking water for the citizens of Baldwin as well as Demarest and 2/3 of Habersham County. So we recently had one of these motors fail. And it is a duplex system, so while one pump does operate at times, there are occasions when we have high demand and two have to be operated. So we were in a bit of a pinch to get this motor replaced. So we did look at various options to replace this particular motor. This is a 125 horsepower US motor, so we did look at prices for a US motor, a Baldor, and then we also looked at a Kawasaki motor. But we chose to stay with the US motor, which is the most cost effective and efficient and works with the current pump that's in place. So we did go ahead and replace that motor on that pump so we could get it back in service, as it is essential to the operation of the system. And this cost, it was budgeted. We were hoping that we were not going to have to use it, but these are the things that come up from time to time in operating a water and a wastewater system. So the total price for the replacement of the motor, as well as the labor to remove the existing motor and install the new one, was $18,400.65.
How old was the current motor?
It was a little, I'd say it was pushing 30 years.
Lord have mercy.
It was pushing
All the
30 years.
things.
So I will say this, they do not make motors like that anymore. In another system, we actually just went through something similar to this, and it was a US motor. That US motor was in operation for over 40 years.
Wow.
And it was like three years ago, we replaced that motor with a new motor, and we have already had to replace the existing motor that just went in.
I have a question, just out of curiosity. So those motors, does it just go to the landfill, or is it will be scrapped out for money, or what?
Yeah, so what we're actually doing with this motor is, our goal is to actually rewind it, and then put it back in service. So a lot of times these motors, depending on the age of them and how they failed, you can go in and actually rewind the motor, and then we'll be able to keep it as a spare. So currently it's in the shop, and we're hoping that we can rewind it and put it on the shelf, so a new motor was just shy of $16,000. Generally, if you can rewind them, you can do them for around $4,000 to $5,000. Very, very cost-effective backup to have in place. So that's what we're looking at. And if that can't happen, then yes, sir, we would scrap it and get some money back from just the metal from it. Yep.
That's all interesting stuff.
Any additional questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily, we budgeted for it. We do set aside money each year with the budget to anticipate things like this. Again, hoping that we don't use it, but the funds were there for that.
I think it's apropos for the fact that this is our our last meeting of the year, and we've got so many things that have just been going on and on and on for years that we're finally closing out the calendar year with taking care of some of these really older things like this pump and the all the things that we've approved in the ARPA funding. I think it's apropos that we're closing out the year with taking care of some really old and big deals.
That's right.
But it's also a testament to the budget process.
Yeah.
that we have the money available, we've anticipated the concerns.
Yeah.
What you don't wanna have is a meager budget, and then when the emergency comes, there is no emergency provision made. So we thank Ms. Woodmaster for leading us through a budget that can accommodate these emergency situations.
Well, and that said, because, you know, a lot of times people will come back and say, well, you mean you've got a healthy budget, and you've been charging us, but you know, and I preached this to the county and another city in the county, is that if there is a need, being able to articulate that to your residents, to your constituents, and explain it to them in a way that they understand to gain their blessing. We have a resident in our audience today that has been to our town hall meetings and heard us explain, you know, that wanted to know, why is my millage rate going? Why do you guys wanna raise our millage rate? And hey, you know what, we've got our department heads, our professionals, our city staff, we're just a bunch of, you know, we sit here and say yes and no, but our professionals that we have with the city have been able to articulate that to our residents, and thankful that, you know, they came to us and shook our hands and said, hey, we don't really like it, but we understand it and we can appreciate that. And I feel that residents respect that more than playing games and playing stunts like the county was doing with the fire service.
I appreciate having professional
Yes.
folks leading our departments, like Mr. Holliday, who can anticipate, there's a 30-year-old motor, folks. This is gonna break down at some point, you
Right.
ready for this?
Yep.
You know, so, I don't know how old the motors are, I'm a
Pretty
I go in
in
there.
a retreat.
Yeah,
Yep.
right, and we
Yeah.
go in and we do the world tour, but I still don't know how old that motor is, and so the fact that you keep this in the forefront of our mind, so we budget appropriately for something that could happen a rainy day, I appreciate that. And the other part of it too, Councilwoman Venture, is something that you and I talk about all the time, is that the taxpayers have a burden to keep the city going. 25% of our budget is from taxpayer dollars. But look at this, almost $320,000 of projects came from the federal government through the ARPA money that enabled us to do all of these projects that we've been wanting to do. So there are other streams of income, and that's part of the education of the residents, that we do have other streams of income for the work.
I mean, it's still, the money that comes from
It's
the federal
ours.
government,
It's
it's still
ours.
ours. So
It's ours, right.
Same.
Well, it's definitely gonna enhance.
I'm just saying, if that motor was a Kawasaki, it'd still be running.
Not true, but anyway, okay.
It would, because,
Yeah.
you know, it lasts a long time. Very similar to the longevity of Tupperware. It lasts.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to, did I already do this? No, I didn't.
No.
Can I have a motion to approve the emergency expense for the high service pump at the water treatment plant and to be expensed from the current FY 25 budget as presented? I have a motion from Councilman Venture. Do I have a second? I have a second from Councilwoman Lehman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. There being no executive session this evening, the next item on the agenda is announcements. City offices will be closed December 24th and 25th in observance of the Christmas holiday and January 1st for New Year's Day. Item number 2, due to unforeseen delays, 2024 property tax information is not yet available. The city will make every effort to expedite the release of the tax bills. As it is the city's practice to extend the due date in the event of billing delays, the city will allow 60 days for payment upon release of the tax bills. Upon the establishment of a new date, the city will utilize its website, social media, and utility bills to notify its residents. I would also like to say that tomorrow morning at 7:45 a.m., I will be over in Clarksville at North Georgia Tech for the State of the County address. I'm frustrated by this fact. I'm sorry the rest of the media is not here, but thank you for, thank you for sticking around. The state of the county is being presented only tomorrow morning at Partnership Habersham. Ms. Vaughn is presenting the state of the county, not in a public situation, but only through Partnership Habersham. We are not participants in Partnership Habersham. We've discussed the frustrations that we have with this organization. We have been told that we don't have to pay to play. Not that they want to play well with us, but I'm going to show up to hear the state of the county because we have no other choice. Ms. Vaughn has been contacted. She said she would come to a meeting, but however, there are no more meetings before her last day of employment. So I have no other choice but to go there tomorrow morning at 7:45. Anybody wants to join me? We can march in arm in arm. But I'm going to the state of the county tomorrow morning at Partnership Habersham. I'll be there. I would also like to thank Councilwoman Davis for extending the reach of the mayor's reading club. She read this morning at Baldwin Elementary to second graders, and she will continue to do that through the semester on Mondays. How many kids did you read to today?
18.
Ooh.
Miss Watts was the class that I went to.
Wonderful. What'd you read? I don't know.
It was about a Christmas mass and family. It's
Oh,
very
that's
cute
good.
book.
But I thank you for doing that. I mean, there is an initiative in the state to increase literacy levels of our children. I know that Mr. Long and the teachers at Baldwin Elementary have worked hard to bring a new strategy for teaching reading to Baldwin Elementary. They feel like it's going really well. I think any ways that we can partner with our children to help their literacy levels will only stand us in good stead in the long run. So thank you so much for taking that upon yourself. And yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say thank you to Erin. I reached out to her on Friday, last minute, to say that I was going to do this on Monday. And she prepared bookmarks and a cute little basket of goodies for the kids, and they were pretty excited. They really liked the bookmarks, and they were telling me how many they had. So, Erin, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Really great stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you, Erin. And then lastly, I would like to thank everybody who helped make our annual Christmas tree lighting such a success. Friday night, what a great time we had. We had over 200 people at the Christmas tree lighting. Thank you to Little Gypsy Camper for doing a beautiful backdrop. Thank you to Santa Clint for being there and taking pictures with everybody, every child, every firefighter, every council member was there. We had, what's the name of the people who did the hot chocolate?
Bar and Arrow.
Bar and Arrow were there to do hot chocolate, and the little train that was zipping around Mitchell Gailey Park. We had such a good, and the children at Baldwin Elementary, thank you so much to our choir mistress for leading the children in song. They did a countdown to the lighting of the tree. What a great night. The weather was a little cold, Oh, and for the cookies, to Marlene's Cakes, for the exquisite cookies. So we have great community partners. Thank you to everybody who's contributed this year to our events to make that possible. We heard nothing but good things from, your family was there taking pictures with Santa Claus too.
And helping with the s'mores.
And helping with the
Yeah.
s'mores. Thank you so much.
His daughter jumped right in and was like, okay, let's get this done. Thank
Yeah.
goodness, because
Thank you to
The whole
council,
time,
thank you to
It's a
council
sticky
for
affair.
being there, department heads were there, thank you to the police department, the fire department.
Also, the fire department, by way of Chief Roy, built those burn barrels. The four
They were
burn barrels.
great.
I said that it was gonna be really cold, and he found two 55-gallon drums and turned them into what we had, so.
And they were a hit.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
was crowded around there.
They were wonderful.
There was, yeah,
Good
wow, thanks, Chief.
conversation. And all the staff who turned out, I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much staff there, and just, I can't say enough about our magical little town. Somebody, I'll say it, Marlene's Cakes, Marlene said to us at Fall Festival, she said she feels like she's been dropped into a Hallmark town.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough about Baldwin. I'm just so excited to be, a participant here and watch the town grow and develop. So thank you everybody who came out to work, deserved hot cocoa to
in freezing weather. Our hands were, yeah.
So thank you for putting all of that together
Yeah,
with
thank
us, I really appreciate it. Any other announcements from council?
No, I've said enough tonight.
Any from
Sorry.
staff? Okay, before we end, Merry Christmas, everybody, be safe. Thank you for all you've done this year, it's been a remarkable year in Baldwin. Merry Christmas, thank you to everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Blessed New Year, we'll see you in January. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Councilman Bentor, sorry, it's a long meeting. Do I have a second? I have a second from Councilman Keith, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, wait, no, I already said aye.